Okay, now we're gonna get into some homemade stuff. So everybody's heard of an O-ring, right? This is another great way to dry a drum out but still not lose attack. Anytime you can dry the edges out but not have something in the middle means we'll still retain some of the high end, and we'll also keep some of the, a lot more of the articulation of the drum. So this, hold that thing up real quick. I cut this out of, is it in, you can't even see anymore. I'm pretty sure it was an Emperor, but I don't know. Might be an Ambassador. Can you tell? Ambassador. So I just took an old drum head and I just cut out my own O-ring and use it. Now stick that sucker on and hit the drum. Now pull it off and hit it. So there's where we started. Stick it on. So this is even considerably drier than the play like a couple, just some rolls. So there's still good, you know, if you're playing some ghost notes or if you need to play notes, there's really good articulation here. And matter of fact, a drum dried out like this will, although it's very articulate, can be very unforgiving in your note placement because it's so dry to where if your notes are moving around at all, we're going to hear exactly where they are. When there's a little bit of extra ring or it's not quite as articulate, if our stuff's moving around while we're playing, it'll be a lot less noticeable. This is going to be very, where we place the notes is going to become very important just in our everyday grooves and whatever you're playing, because it's gonna show your flaws if you have some. All right, give me a groove. It also changes the whole kit. Cool. This I mean, the last one dried it out, but now with this dry but still articulate, the whole kit sounds different. The hi-hat sounds different. The reaction to the kick drum, everything is different, which is going to make it feel really different when we get some track. You ready?
Yep.
Cool. I actually kind of like what happens to the whole sound now. It gets a bit more 70s. It's dry. It's not a real huge sound, but the snare has a good attack to it. But it's also, in a way, soft, kind of round. It's kind of nice. And that again, man, I'm sure everybody, you bust through a head, cut that sucker out, make some O-rings. I've also, I didn't bring any out today, but I have some where I made the O-ring, then I cut it in half, so it only does half the drum. Now I want to move on to one of my favorites, homemade. Don't want to spend the money on some of this stuff? Great. Again, I'm sure you've got old heads lying around, so I took what is that? Ambassador X? Ambassador X, and I have 3 pieces of gaff on the back, just to add a little weight to it, and also so it stays in there, and I just cut the head out. Snare hits. Yeah. If you want to work on your double note strength, this would be the thing to do it. One, the thing is just sitting there, so it's not, you know, it's not like the big fat snare drum where there's enough weight to where it's really laying on there. This thing is, you know, it almost kind of moves a little bit when you hit it, so it's going to be a lot more splatty. It's going to drop the pitch considerably. Play a groove with it with some ghost notes. It's harder, isn't it? Now this stuff, I don't think you're gonna go do like Tower of Power gigs with this. Yeah, this is almost in a way unforgiving with the ghost notes too, because the snare drum doesn't react at all. It's like you're just hitting a pillow there. All right, let's hear this, and this is gonna make this track feel completely different than the others. So whole different vibe. In a way now, after hearing all these, earlier when we were doing sound check, I kind of liked the O-ring, the homemade O-ring, but now I'm hearing this, there's something kind of cool about the homemade, you know, big fat snare drum.